Alright YouTube, so we've talked about the 60s and this is the continuation of the Doctor Who decades, and this is part 2, the 70s. If you haven't seen part 1 then I suggest you go now and you watch it. You know, there's a link for it in the description below, so go now, click on that, watch that, and then come back here and see me. Okay, go on, I'll give you a minute now, go. You got 14 minutes. This isn't me buffering, by the way. Okay, I'm going to assume that you clicked on that link and you've watched part 1, the 60s. So, for those who did watch part 1, the 60s, that's super. We can crack on with it. So, the 70s. So, after Doctor Who had the consideration of ending in 1969, the BBC couldn't really think of anything new. So they thought, sod it, let's renew Doctor Who for another season. Only this time they thought, let's make it colour. Give it a colour debut. And Patrick Troughton wasn't in the picture anymore, so they had to find a new actor. But who would play him? Well, after a few meetings and a few lunch meetings, they got actor Jon Pertwee to take on the role of the Doctor. And with him being exiled to Earth and forced to change his appearance, well, he was forced to change his appearance and went to Earth in the 20th century, which at the time was the present day 1970. So, 1970, he was in that decade, and seeing as he was earthbound, he had to get a job. You know, his TARDIS grounded. So, he then got a job as UNIT, working as their scientific advisor. And he had his assistant, Liz Shaw, and also his good friend, the Brigadier, who couldn't work out why he was completely different. And in his time, he confronted Autons, Daleks, and many other things. It sort of became like Sherlock Holmes. You know, we had the Doctor who was like Sherlock, we had the Brigadier who was like his Dr. John Watson. They thought then, they need to give him a Moriarty. So, 1971 didn't just feature the return of the Autons, but it also featured the debut of the Master, a rival Time Lord who we will all know for decades to come. Yes, the Master, first played by actor Roger Delgado. Also, at the time, they introduced a new companion, Jo Grant, for the Doctor, played by Katie Manning. Then the family just felt perfect for Jon Pertwee. He had the perfect dream job, he had everything going for good for him. But of course, and then, also in his run, he confronted Silurians, Sea Devils, which are yet to return in the current era. But yes, the current era. So yes, the Sea Devils are yet to return. They did have a quick sort of cameo in the 11th Hour, if you can call it that. The Silurians have returned. And in 2010 in the Matt Smith era. Anyway, on with the 70s. 1973 saw a huge turn of events for the show. What happened was, Katie Manning had decided she had enough, so made her exit in the Green Death, whilst Roger Delgado, out on a holiday in Turkey, because he became a series regular and he was great friends with everyone, and, well, he was tragically killed in a car accident. But just before all that, in 1973, Doctor Who celebrated its 10th anniversary, having the return of the second and first Doctors, both William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton reprising their roles as their Doctors. William Hartnell was very ill, so he only had small parts on the screen where he could read his lines out behind the camera. But yes, I think they did a great job, acting as if they just popped their coat off for about 2 minutes and got back on set. And William Hartnell died in 1975, which was a shame, but again, that's just life. But yeah, back to the big change in 1973. The third, John Pertwee, the family just didn't feel right, because after the 10th anniversary, he earned his freedom back from the Time Lords, and, well, because of that, he just, well, he started going through time and space and became a part-timer for UNIT as their scientific advisor. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by outside. But anyway, they had a new companion, Elizabeth Sladen, who played Sarah Jane Smith. Now, of course, she went on to be a popular companion and make a return in the current era, even getting her own spin-off series. And also, that was John Pertwee's final season. So, the final season for John Pertwee, and met his end when he confronted the giant spiders and Metabilis 3. Then, when John Pertwee wants to leave, they had to find another actor. But who? Well, luckily they did find one actor, Tom Baker, who would be known to become the most legendary Doctor of all, with his long scarf, his floppy hat, his frizzy hair, his pearly white smile, and his charms and his taste for jelly babies. Even though that was the second Doctor that had the jelly baby thing, Tom Baker sort of made it his own. Would you like a jelly baby? So yeah, he lasted the longest for doing it for 7 whole years. So basically, he took it out into the 80s. So, and for a couple more years, Sarah Jane travelled with the Doctor, Tom Baker. He had many companions, including Harry Sullivan, Sarah Jane Smith, Romana, Leela, and Adric, but that's going to the 80s now. And he also, the third Doctor confronted the first Sontaran, but the fourth Doctor encountered them, I think, at least twice in the Sontaran experiment and the Invasion of Time. He also travelled with a robot dog that was called Canine. Now, he looks very disco, but in the year 5000, according to the 10th Doctor, it was cutting edge. And in that episode of the modern era, Sarah Jane returned. Anyway, we'll get to that later eventually. So, yes, the fourth Doctor, he then, at the end of the 70s, travelled with Time Lady Romana in season 17, called The Invasion of Time, which I've got up there. The Invasion of Time, where throughout all the serials they had to collect bits and pieces of the key to time, as they were sent on a task by the White Guardian, and to prevent the Black Guardian from ever getting it. Anyhow, the fourth Doctor also, in 1975, was set on a task by the Time Lords to prevent the Daleks from ever being made, but failed. But did manage to delay them, so, delayed their creation, their victory and stuff. On Skaro, Davros was a crippled, twisted scientist who created the Daleks to fight in the war, the endless war against the Khalids, where the planet was dying in radiation, and, well, if you've seen all Dalek serials and that, you'll know. Khaled is actually Dalek spelt backwards, in case you didn't know. I'm sure a lot of people do know that, but in case you didn't know. Anyhow, Sarah Jane Smith decided to call it a day. Well, Elizabeth Sladen did, in 1976. The fourth Doctor did confront the Master, though. The Master this time was played by Peter Pratt, and he was sort of, deformed or mutant-like, because the Master tried to steal a new regeneration cycle and got all mutated and deformed, and didn't come back to a human state until 1981, but we'll get to that in the next part. So, Tom Baker, he also, he just was, he was the Doctor of all the kids' generation from the 60s, and, I mean the 70s, sorry, and I think, whenever someone mentions classic Who, they tend to think of Tom Baker first, as he did it the longest, but let's not forget that William Hartnell was the Doctor originally. But yes, Tom Baker is definitely, Tom Baker and John Pertwee. I think the 70s is when it really got, it got even more better. It had colour TV. It had, colour TV. It had, better effects, which now are like known as crappy effects and stuff. But still, at the time, they were great effects. So yes, Tom Baker. So the Doctors of the 70s, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, and yes. So what else can I say about Doctor Who in the 70s? Apart from Tom Baker went out into the 80s as his Doctor. In 1979, there was a whole writer's strike, so some stories were scrapped. One story which is known for not being finished was Sharda. They managed to film all the scenery and stuff, but couldn't get into the BBC studios. And of course, if you can get Sharda, it's more likely as an audio adventure with Paul McGann's 8th Doctor. But I have it on DVD. You can get it on DVD now on the Legacy collection, I think. And bits that are not filmed, Tom Baker narrates it for us. Anyway, also the 70s, 1979, Doctor Who, then got its new producer, John Nathan Turner, who... I think we should get on and do something. John Nathan Turner, who became the show's longest running producer, because he did it from 1979 to 1989, and and that's when the whole 70s was drawing to a close and the 80s was just beginning. So yeah, this has been my chat and look back with you on Doctor Who the 70s. So can't think of much else to go on. So yes, so tune in next time for part 3, the 80s, where we'll be looking back at Tom Baker's final seasons, and we'll look through Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, all the way up to how it got, cancelled in 1989. But hey, Doctor Who's still going strong as it is now. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this one, the 70s. So yeah, joining me next time for the 1980s. If you like this video, please feel free to like. If you want to share it, please share it. Also, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you after this one. Hopefully I'll have that, because I've just got the hang of editing software. Hopefully it'll say subscribe somewhere beneath me, I think. Anyway, yes, I hope you enjoyed it. Also, yeah, follow me on social media, Facebook. There should be a link for that in the description below. And until next time, goodbye, friends. Follow me on Facebook. Ha!